Well, I'm really stoked to be here with you guys. Here with the Thomas brothers, the first base jumping brothers of Australia. Do you know there's been six or seven?
7 now, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
7 what?
Because
brothers.
there was the famous ones that Fateris was telling you about in the email, eh?
That's right.
Rick Harrison and Rick and Randy, I think.
The American guys, yeah.
Yeah, they were the first base jumping brothers, I think.
Right. Well, that's an interesting link. But we've got you guys, then the List brothers. There's 3 of them.
Yep.
That's Brendan, Steve, and
Tim.
That's right.
Tim.
Yeah.
And then then the Llewellyn brothers came through.
Yeah.
And then the Gibson brothers.
Yes.
And there's Coleman brothers.
Yes. Hey.
Brother Al.
Did he do a base jump? Brother
4
Al?
or something.
Did he?
Did he?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The Coleman brothers.
And then there's the Mario brothers.
Yeah.
Is there any others? They're from Tassie, I think, those guys. Not sure. I'll track them down.
Yeah, there's been a shitload from Australia.
Yeah.
For sure, like more than anywhere on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dukes talks about it.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's an interesting part of the story that it's going to have to be told.
Yeah.
But, you guys were my mentors, which was pretty cool. Well, Carly, especially you sort of took me under your wing and helped me understand the art of buildings.
The art of buildings is my favourite.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How many buildings do you reckon you've done?
Oh, I've no idea. I've done a lot of different buildings around the world. I've done about 13 or 14 different buildings in Sydney and about 7 or 8 in Melbourne. And I don't know, one in Queensland or something.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know how many building jumps. I think I've done more building jumps than anything else.
Yeah. A lot overseas.
Yeah, Benny Cannon and I used to do building jumps all the time on the Stones tour. Every city we're in,
Right.
find something, or a cliff or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time.
That's awesome. So when did you get into the sport, Theo? How did it all begin for you?
So I told you to ask this straight up. I can't remember, actually.
Give us a logbook.
I think it was 84 or 85.
It was 85, I think, because you started... When did you... Oh, no.
September 85
Yeah.
at Wallombi Falls.
Wallombi. Yeah, it's got this in the timeline here, yeah.
Yeah, so...
It was a cliff with an American guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Peter Dawkins.
Oh, yeah.
It was. We went there with Mark Scott and Ian Slight, and me and maybe Andre. I can't remember. We drove there some months before that to see if we could find somewhere to jump, and it was weather was shit and all that sort of stuff, so we never ended up going. But I went there with this American guy who'd done a few cliff jumps. So that was the first cliff jump in Australia, my understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what sort of gear did you use?
Yeah.
Just a S18 with a 228 and a small pilot chute. But we jumped where Eros and that went, which was kind of near where that lookout is. We were right up the other end of the gorge. We drove through a farm called Maralinga. I always remember the name because that's where they did the nuclear testing in South Australia.
Yeah.
So we drove through their property and ended up at this place. But it took us, I think, 6 hours to get out of there.
Yeah.
It was pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
Really super stupid landing area. And
Yeah.
And didn't you just run off and let go of the pilot chute?
yeah, just ran off and let go of the pilot
About
chute.
throwing it then.
Yeah.
Well, what made you think that was that was
Well, the guy who was with me, I'd been looking at doing base jumps and he'd done some. I can't remember where I met him. It would have been at Toogoolawah or Picton or something. But yeah, and that's just what we did. I just borrowed a throwaway pilot chute because my skydiving rig had a bunny tail on it back in those days. So yeah, and it all worked fine.
Chuck the curved pin on and just let go.
No, it was a
Hope for the
straight normal pin. Yeah,
Yeah,
curved pin,
pin.
normal curved pin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was about, I think at that cliff was probably close to 600, I reckon. It was 600 feet.
Yep.
Not as high as where it was down the other end there.
Yep.
But it was steep. It was steep. I think where Eros and that went, there was a bit of an angle in the cliff
And
there from memory.
with Dinesy.
Dinesy, they did that CRW jump off
That's
there.
right. This first CRW.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Well, he's open to anyone else telling him otherwise.
that's the only one that I know of.
I would have been the first one on the planet. For
We did
sure,
do a
unless
formation load with them one night in Sydney. They were on one building and we were on another building. But
Yeah, that's right.
Brilliant. What was that?
that was, we were on
Grovenor.
Grosvenor and they were on
Gateway.
National Gateway was called then. What's now the National Mutual Building?
Pooh and Arnie and Cootsy were on Gateway, and then it was you, me, and Yatesy, and I think Andre Persick, and Mark Scott or something.
I got a message the next morning on the old school answering machine saying, "Oh, we did a formation load last night." We're going, "What?" And they were there ready to go, and they heard this parachute open, that noise and how it echoes through the city at 3 a.m.
Fucking hell.
And they looked over and they were fucking hell, so they waited till we went. And then obviously we scurried away, and we didn't know they were there till the next morning, but it was pretty.
That's brilliant.
Pretty funny.
That's brilliant. What about you, Carly?
What about me?
How did you get into it? Was it just like watching your big brother do something? And
Yeah, pretty much. Same as skydiving,
What was your first jump off?
Mooney.
Was that jump?
Yeah, with Liz and Mick. No, I would tell you I started skydiving first when I was still too young to jump, when I was 15, so I was hanging around Picton and then, started skydiving when I was 15, and I think I had 75 jumps when I did my first base jump, and didn't do one until 1987. So it's 4 years after I started skydiving. And Theo and Mick Kaleher. So it was Theo and me and Mick and his sister Liz. That was a real family affair. Not Mooney, we got busted. My first and ever time I've been fully busted.
And it was a classic. I don't know if you remember, but Carly and Liz jumped and me and Mick were in the car, and they go off, right? And soon as, I think Carly went first from memory and Liz went second, and soon as she'd gone, this cop car pulls up on the bridge, and Mick Kaleher, without missing a beat, just goes, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" And he starts going to the cops, "Did you see that? Did you see that?" As if we had nothing to do with it. And he had an ounce of pot in the glove box. I'm saying, "Fuck Mick, shut up," And then we drove down there, and then by that stage the cops had already driven down to have a chat with us. Fuck, it was funny. The timing was impeccable.
There was
Police plan to charge bridge plunge couple was the headline in the paper.
Really?
Bit dramatic, eh? So there was there's a 35-year-old Balmain woman and a 17-year-old or 18-year-old male accomplice. Police will charge them for jumping off the Mooney Bridge as soon as they work out which law they broke. Didn't really have anything.
Yeah. Well, they threw They threw to Dan and I when we got busted on Mooney. They put us in traffic court, so we got done as pedestrians on the bridge.
Oh, there you go. That'll work.
Yeah.
About.
We thought we were going to get away with it too. There's no sign saying you can't jump off a bridge, but no. Yeah. They had some other ideas. What sort of gear were you using, Carly?
Same as what Theo was using at that time, S18 skydiving rig.
That Gilmore's old rig, or?
Ray Gilmore's old rig, the camo rig with gold-plated hardware. That's my skydiving rig. But yeah, we started jumping curve pins, but then we went to like a tandem cutaway cable pin, which to me made a lot of sense, but they occasionally jammed with a really tight pack. So went back to curve pins, but I was sort of as the time I came into it, these guys had worked everything out, like big pilot chutes and packing methods and all of that. So my road was pretty easy, but But
Dinesy was saying that at the start you just laid the canopy out and then just figured out how to.
Yeah, we used to start with the first packing method. We started. There were two different ways we did it. One was called basically just a trash pack. You just drop the canopy on the nose and pull all your lines into the centre, basically, and then flake the tail and wrapped it around, and it was a neat trash pack, and then and that worked okay. But then we started doing the where you kind of, I don't know how they do it these days, but how you flake it, on the nose reserve, still, but instead of just
like a reserve,
like you'd pack a square reserve, exactly, yeah. Flaking them out one side to the other, with a channel down the middle, and then. We started, we used to just figure eight the lines into the containers, and then we started getting a few little line dump weird things going on with, in some of the, because I think on a couple of early jumps someone had some Super 8 film cameras, and there was a couple of shots there with just lines sitting out in space, we're like, fucking hell, that doesn't look good. Then we started S-folding them into the containers and putting rubber bands around the S-folds. And then the tail
great.
pockets.
And then don't forget about the newspaper. We used to put a bit of newspaper.
A sheet of paper
between the lines and the canopy.
Yeah,
I had that in my sorcerer.
because it looked nice. Yeah. And then the tail pockets came out, which was a really nice stage. All the stuff we did was all, 1 to
3 stage lines. We used to use these little number 10s, tiny little thin rubber bands. They just S-folds with little rubber bands on the engine.
It worked. It worked well. It's not. We weren't doing terminal openings. It was all low altitude jumps. So
that's right.
The deployments with the rubber band system actually worked really good. You could feel it felt more staged. And then the tail pocket thing came in. Are they still using tail pockets? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Didn't take that bit of tech away.
Yeah. But we built my first actual base rig. I did a lot of jumps with my skydiving rig. But the first base rig was Mark Scott. He was working for PA at the time as a rigger, and he was building rigs, and we basically built my rig after hours up there. Dave Smith used to let us go up to the loft after hours and use all the gear, and the pilot chute I got was the first pilot chute that they'd made. PA had made, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, 40 inch or 50 inch or something.
Yeah.
All right, so this is where Poo got the idea.
What's that?
Is that where Poo got the idea to
for what?
Create the Poo stuff?
The Poo. Well, when he built that canopy, it was basically my understanding, it's basically a reinforced 228 kind of design with a extra crossport between the C and the D lines, because your standard canopy didn't have a crossport back there in those days. On my skydiving canopy, we actually hot knifed out extra crossports through the canopy,
so did I.
just to help, because the canopy used to collapse really badly front to back like they do without a slider. But those extra crossports really made a bit of a difference with that. And I think when Poo made his canopies, we actually called it the Urban RV. That was the original name, but everyone else called it the Poo. So, and then he improved on the rig and all that. Yeah, all that sort of shit. I still got where is my base rig? Have you got it, or is it here?
I have no idea.
It's still there, the original one I built. It's a classic. I did the last base jump I did, which was on our Bucks weekend before I got married. I jumped that rig and the original canopy.
Wow. And the overhang.
At the overhang, and had great opening. 20 left, which it always used to open, and good landing.
Standard.
And I'd packed it 2 years before that to do a water jump or something, and never done it. Yeah. So it's a 2-year-old pack. Go and jump at 6 years or something. Yeah. That's a great old canopy, the Land Rights canopy.
The Land Rights canopy. Yeah, I've seen that on a bit of footage.
So when I jumped mush off the perp on. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's great. I saw on the timeline there that you guys did the Gateway Bridge.
I did, yes. That was with...
you did that too? No.
That was with... I've got some classic still photos of all that sort of stuff. That was with Marilyn, and she organised it all. Myself, I can't remember how many jumps I had then, but maybe 12. I was the guru, so I had to pack
jump master.
I was the jump master. So I had to pack everyone's canopies. I was shitting myself. It wasn't that high, and a lot of people had suicided off it, so they were watching it pretty close. It's a funny story with that. Has you got time to tell it? Or?
Yeah, we've got time.
So there was me, Brad fucking Turner, who's used to be the CEO of the APF, and a guy called Wildman, who
Jeffro Thomas, isn't it?
Jeff Thomas. That was not the Wildman you're thinking of. And I think Alison Stacey.
Bully Bailey,
that's the other one, who was a CRW legend back in those days, So we did this, it was a big deal, we'd packed all the rigs the night before, and I'd packed them. One of them was a 5-cell Swift or something, which I'd never packed before. And we had a getaway boat that was going to launch at a boat ramp, and then we were sort of stopped somewhere off the Gateway Bridge. No mobile phones in those days. And so we had these 2-way radios, and they weren't fucking working, and so we're looking on the river and we can't see the boat anywhere. And what had happened was that the boat got there and we got onto the bridge. They were late getting there. We were waiting. Finally we get there. We all jumped off, landed in the water, got into the boat, and then they took us to shore. I think there was a golf course or a park or something. I think it was a golf course on the embankment there from memory. And the jumps all went good. And we all got out of there. And then what happened with the getaway boat, they were going back to the boat ramp and they broke down. The boat broke down. The water police come up the river saying and going, oh, did you see, there's been jumps off the bridge. There's been quite a few suicides, a couple of suicides off it. Yeah. So the water police are there looking around and they, I think one of the guys actually had a skydiving T-shirt on and they didn't pick up and the cops ended up towing our getaway boat back to the ramp. They had no idea that they were completely involved with it. It was funny. And then we had film cameras and we went and dropped off. So by this stage, that would have been not long after sunrise we did the jump. And we took the film down to the local film developing place and we came back at lunchtime to pick it up. And the girl behind the counter, she goes to hand us over the film. She goes, you're the guys that jumped off the bridge, aren't you? And we went, oh, don't say anything. And it was all over the radio by that stage. And the guy, I can't remember his name now, but he was a skydiver from Toogoolawah, and he was like a radio DJ on the local Triple M, whatever the big radio station up there was. And he knew all about it, and he just announced it on the radio saying, I think he said something to the words to the effect of 5 people jumped off the Gateway Bridge this morning, and guess what? None of them died. And he just left it at that. It was just at the end of the news broadcast. Yeah.
I love the French movie. I was spending time there with Dinesy in the French doco.
How good is
and the way that you guys have got the cops to, in the B-roll, reenact. Yeah. Racing up to the building, big screech and sideways, and then hopping out. And
that wasn't us that did that. We were long gone by then.
But I'm saying, like, obviously after the fact, but it was priceless.
Anything back then, eh?
Totally. There you go. Obviously pretty bored.
January '86 was the Gateway Bridge, 217 feet at low tide. Yeah. Marilyn, me, John, Doug, Brad, and Animal. Animal, not Wild Man.
Oh, right.
And there's a whole story here with it. Big story, but yeah.
That's gold. So, what about that French doco? Who organised that?
The French doco. Well, that was so back. That would have. I think that would have been '87 from memory. And there was a guy called Blue Baker who was a avid photographer. Aerial photographer, probably one of the pioneer air-to-air photographers in Australia. Anyway, he started a magazine called Blue Sky, was it?
Blue Skies.
Blue Skies. So there was Rambling On that McAvoy used to do, and then he started this big commercial sort of magazine, and he said to Yates, he contacted Yates and I and said, oh, there's French mob that want to come and do a documentary on base jumping, and we're like, oh no, fuck them, we were just always trying to avoid, because it was illegal and all that sort of stuff, and we didn't want any trouble. We just used to jump at 3 a.m. and all that. So anyway, Yates was talking to Blue Baker, and eventually they convinced us to do it. But Yates is laying down the ground rules. He's saying, right, we've got to meet here, you've got to leave at this time, you can only have a couple of people on the ground, otherwise we're going to get busted and we need to get away quickly, and all this sort of stuff. And so anyway, we turn up, I don't know what time it would have been. The idea was we were going to jump at they wanted us to jump at sunrise for the light, and the HE's like, no, but they talked us around on that one. They had a camera down on the Goldfields building, which is I don't even know if it's there now. It was a big square building right on the Carl Expressway at Circular Quay, so they had a camera up there, perfect shot looking back. Anyway, so we turned up to the Blue Sky offices at, 4 a.m. or something, and me and Yates are hyped up, we're ready to go. We need to get up before dark, get up the crane, get in position, get all our gear on and sorted, ready to jump bang on sunrise so we can get the fuck out of there without getting busted, right? So we turn up there, and the French guys are there. They start breaking out the croissants and the fucking coffee and all this, and we're like, no, we got to go, And Blue Baker's saying, calm down, boys, it's all right, and anyway, so
croissants.
Oh no, it's the whole breakfast thing. It's like, no, we got to go now, because as you know, it took a little bit of doing to get in. It was under construction then, but there was security around, so you had to be cautious to get in there and get up the fire escape and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, so we got up there and because we had to get off quickly. There were 4 of us. It was me and Yate, Mark Scott, and Andre Persick. So we positioned ourselves at the top of the tower crane, but we had 2 on one level and 2 on the level below, so that we could stagger the exits to keep them going, so we could get out there. Because you remember that on Grove? Did you jump the crane? Yeah, you had to. The little triangle on the tower, you had to get your shoulders through and get out, and it was scary, man. And you're standing there just on the back edge of your heels with your rig pushing out, and you've done this.
Totally.
It wasn't comfortable, so it took a bit of time, Anyway, so we jump off. Yate gets out first, and he does this big wave like this to give a signal to the camera on the other building to start, so they'd start rolling. And so Yate does a big signal, and we look down, and all of a sudden there's people everywhere to start appearing out of the back of this van or truck or something, And the lights are coming on, the camera sound guy, it's like, fuck. It's like, no. And they booked a limo. They said, oh, can we use a limo as a getaway car? And we said, yeah, whatever, that's fine. But just park him there, don't tell him what's going on, and, And so Yate jumped first. I went off second.
Yeah.
And had an off-heading opening.
That's that picture.
That's that picture in the Australian magazine there. Yeah. I went off-heading. It was a good off-heading up, proper one, And so I dealt with that, and then so I'd lost height doing that, and I'm just seeing people on the ground everywhere. And I turn out towards the Regent Hotel, come back south to land on Grosvenor Street there, and I land right in front of the security guard, like literally 2 feet in front of him, right? And he just grabs me. I've still got my harness and helmet on and everything. He just grabs me by the harness and, you're under arrest, And the French guy there can hardly speak English. He's going, you have right, have right, And the guy's just dragging me across the street. I was fucked. There's no way I could get away. I'm still in my harness. He had me by the lift webs, So I just cut my canopy away and got dragged into the office, and I was there for a few hours. On the film, it looks like I get into the limo and we all drive off, but no, that's not what happened. No, that's not what happened. I got dragged into the security office. So when he dragged me, and this is the guy, I've got to tell you, this is the guy that we used to nickname Buffhead.
Yeah, right.
He was the security guard.
He was out to get you for a while.
We used to go there every Tuesday night, and weather permitting, and that was our job. This went on for a year almost, and. He always used to. Sometimes we'd land on Grosvenor Street. Sometimes we'd jump off the other side, off what would be the southeast side, which is where Carly did his first jump off. And we'd land come around and land up in Wynyard Lane, or we'd land one street parallel up from Grosvenor Street. And Buffhead, he'd always come out and he'd come. So when we started landing up on the street past, there was a tiny little park there with a double set of sandstone steps, and he was a big guy and he could never get up there in time. So you'd land, you'd be in the car. And you just give him a little wave and close the door, and it got to the stage where he started sort of like, he just sort of wave at you. And one night we were up there, and I digress. But
you figured it out, it was Tuesdays.
Yeah, but anyway, so the other boys jumped while he's dragged me in the security office, and they all fucked off in the limousine. Yeah. And Julie, who was Andre's missus back in those days, used to have a white Kingswood. She hung around, and I was in the office for I don't know. A while, an hour or so, and then they let me go. The French guys were just there bullshitting him, saying we're going to talk to the embassy, saying diplomatic immunity, all this shit, and the guy got scared and let me go. And, and what you see in the film there was actually shot down in Chinatown.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I just love how at the end of all your jumps back in the day, it was a bottle of champagne. Bottle of Wallombi Falls or bottle of wherever
that was the only one. That was the only champagne we ever did.
Oh, well, Dainsy seemed to have it.
Dainsy and Eros or not, I think. But yeah. But there was that Buffhead security guard. It was, and I'm somewhere on the canopy. There's still a footprint, an oily footprint of his on one of the cells.
On the canopy. How dare he?
I know. I know. But at that, I'll tell you another, if I can, while it's in my head, Grosvenor story with I don't know if it was Buffhead, but not long after that, I'd went to do a jump. I used to work on Cats the Musical, and down at the Theatre Royal, and I'd finish at 11 at night. I went to do a solo jump off it, and little beknownst to me, that day the BLF, the Builders Labourers Federation, that was in the big turmoil days of the unions.
Seen a doco on that.
They'd made a bomb threat against the building. I had no idea, right? So I've turned up. I've turned up after work with one of the guys on the crew to drive my getaway car. Connie, I think it was actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I get into the building site, and the ladders and the crane were the first 2 or 3 levels were removed. So I had to climb up the outside of the crane a bit and get in to the crane. I was on my own. It was probably only my first or second or solo jump, so I was a little bit nervous, you know. And anyway, I jump onto the crane. I get about 10 foot off the ground. I hear this guy going, "Stop, stop, stop, or I'll shoot." And I'm like, "Fuck!" And I look down, and there's a guy there with this revolver in his hands, pointing it at me. I'm like, "Whoa!" And I'm all dressed in black, yeah, and looking with a head like this, you know.
Iranian terrorist.
You know what I mean? That wasn't helping things.
Did you have the mustache then?
I had the mustache, yeah, the whole thing. And he's going, "Stop, stop, stop, or I'll shoot." And I'm like, "Fucking hell!" So I climb back down, and the guy's standing there. Next thing you know, there's 2 more security guards there, and the other 2 security guards that came up, one of the guys just looks at me. He goes, "You're one of them fucking base jumpers, aren't you?" I went, yeah. And he goes, "You got no idea what you've just created here." And so next thing you know, I'm standing there with them talking, and Buffhead's there. "Yeah, I can never catch you guys, you know," and all this. He's got completely used to it by then. But next thing you know, there's like 30 police cars, a whole city block was blocked off because they thought that I was a bomber because of this bomb threat that had been made against the building. They thought I was with the BLF and come to bomb the place, right?
Fucking hell.
And the security guards are like, they were really cool. They said,
Way before
"Mate,
terrorism.
way before terrorism." And they said, "Look, we've rung the cops. There's nothing we can do, you know, blah, blah, blah." And the cops, man, they literally picked me up, and it was the old school paddy wagons, the F100 paddy wagon, literally picked me up and hurled me in the back, smashed my knee and everything. And I was down at the Rocks police station for about, I reckon, 9 hours, just interrogating the shit out of me non-stop, they were. And the security guys were the ones that had to press charges, and I didn't know this, but they'd said, "No, we're not going to press charges, we know who they are," you know. So yeah, that was full on.
Is that where you got the nickname terrorist?
No.
He's always looked like a
I've always
terrorist.
looked like that, mate.
A security guard pulled a gun on us one night too.
Did
in
they?
Chifley or something.
Oh,
Was it Chifley or Governor Macquarie or something? We're in the ground level, just got off the street, over the fence. We're in the shadows, and we just like pause, like mid-step, and this guy's about 20 feet away just walking along, and he stops. He looks down into the dark, and he just slowly goes and grabs his gun, and he's like, whoa, stop. Don't he ask?
Who were you with?
Just me and Theo, it was.
Carly, yeah.
Oh, it was you guys.
Yeah. They aren't, though. Yeah, the gun thing was a bit too much to deal with.
Even back then.
But anyway, yeah, that French doco was great. And then, of course, Donzie and Eros did their one off Blues Point with it, which and then Donzie, I think, from memory, did a Harbour Bridge jump.
Yeah.
And have you interviewed Donzie yet?
Yeah. He was
So
first.
did he tell you, this is a story he told me, I know it's true or not, but did he tell you about how when he landed in the water, he was starting to struggle a bit in the water, and he's swimming towards the boat, but the boat kept pulling away from him because they wanted to get this camera shot of him in the water. He's like, fucking... Did he tell you about that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And he looks pretty cool on camera when he tells the story. And, you know, I mean, if you've ever been in the water when you're geared up, it's not easy.
Yeah. Marco, little buddy's got the exact same sort of story where he's going under. He was about to drown.
Yeah, the
Just
cameraman's
picked him
just can't pull it back a bit to get a wide shot.
Well, Carly, you know that you're the oldest, most experienced and current base jumper in Australia.
I wouldn't say the most experienced.
Well, for the
I was
time...
going to say, I wouldn't say the oldest. What about Gordo?
Oh, Gordo.
Is Gordo still jumping?
I don't know. Who's Gordo?
Gordo? No.
Gordo. Oh, Gordo
I know Soot's
from
older than him,
Elderslie,
but he's
Gordo.
not current.
He's probably... Well, I'm not very current either. Anyway. Yeah, Gordo's like 80 now, and I don't think he's done any for a couple of years. I don't know.
All right. I
No
haven't
idea,
heard
but,
about Gordo.
Yeah.
What's his story?
But,
Yes, you should. I'll
You
give
should
you
interview Gordo for sure. I'll put you in touch with him. Yeah. No, my last one was Tower in Estonia about a year ago or something, so I wouldn't say I'm current, but try and at least just get scared every now and again. Yeah.
But what I'm
still fun.
But what I'm getting at is that you've been there pretty well from the start, and you're still going today.
Yeah.
That's 30
Still
years.
Still alive too.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Not many injuries.
No, been really lucky, super lucky. I mean, I guess good planning and a bit of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Grazed my knee at Bungonia once, and then fell over. I didn't
Stinging
have knee.
nettles?
I've never worn knee pads.
Stinging nettles? Yeah.
Nah, yeah, up and down some stinging nettles. Yeah. No, I bashed my knee when I went in Switzerland. Had a fucking tension knot on a pooster, and sort of whacked my knee going through the trees there. Sort of hooked a branch in my leg, and it was all good. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I was on the Pooster promotional tour, and it was years after.
Yeah, that didn't go quite as planned, did it?
No, not at all. But I was fucking out there having a go because everyone said, "Oh, these Poosters are shit," like. Only they were great slider down canopies. They were fucking awesome, pressurised like a motherfucker, solid, really nice, responsive. But he had a little problem with the length of the crow's foot on the brake lines to the length of the lower steering line, and they were too short or too fucking long, I don't know.
Yeah.
And used to get tension knots, in the slider and stuff. And I just thought people couldn't pack, And people stopped jumping them years before, when I was on a tour building stages or whatever, and went to Switzerland, and I'd been to Switzerland before and had a really horrific jump on the nose. I was by myself, and I tracked, and I pitched, and I knocked a brake off when I opened, and I had about 6 line twists, and the Pooster was winding up like a motherfucker, and just got out of it going away from the talus, and I was pretty freaked out. Come back like 3 months later, and Soot and Fem were in Lauderbrunn and staying up at Wengen, just near where Dukes is, I guess, and and Susie and I were there, came from the Stones tour, had a train trip up to Prague and shit, and come back and stayed in this place, and they were just leaving, we were just arriving, so we did this jump in the morning, me and Soot, and we were in Interlaken partying the night before, so I was pretty pissed when I packed in this tiny little whatever, and I don't know, Soot and I did this 2-way, and I opened all on heading because I was pretty freaked out because of the jump before, which was across the valley, and we're on Yellow Ocean, the only one without a talus, and pitch, and it was just like nice on heading, sweet, and then it just started stalling backwards, spinning like instantly, like I looked up and thought it was all good, and the next second it was about probably, I don't know, 5-6 seconds later I went through the top of the trees, and we'd smoked it down. Did this, I don't know, a jump with Soot. Instead of Ready, Set, Go was Fantaz Tweak or something like that. So we're like laughing as we exited, and he was supposed to do 8 seconds, I was supposed to do 9, and he did 11, I did 10, I don't know. It was down there, and I went through the trees, and it was, I learned from Dwayne Weston later on an article that he wrote about cycling toggles to clear a tension knot, and I'd fucking had no idea. It was just like, fuck, I tried to control the rotation, and it just made it worse, and just went. But I rang Pooh and I said the Pooster promotional tour has come to a rapid end. I just went in. But it was all good. We did the koala bear down the tree and went to the pub. And I went back and got my canopy.
Do you think that's what? Remember the free stow lines that were flying out the back of my canopy? There was 2 Poosters that had the free flow stow lines connected.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So on the brakes there, maybe that's...
They had he was the first one to ever put the extra brake line on, which Basic Research did years and years later as well. Experimented with that.
Yeah. It's only I'll be...
So I modified my Poosters with the correct sort of crowsfoot, so they should still be good for slider up openings. There's nothing wrong with Poosters, mate. Giddy up.
Well, just
good canopy.
Going from, using all the old gear to the new technology coming through, there was the new crew that were coming through like in the 90s. So when Dwayne and Wilcox and all these guys started coming on the scene, what was your first thoughts there?
Whoa, it was pretty full on. Like, I don't know, we were sort of always pretty quiet, jumping and low key, and I've always done that sort of thing. It's just like easy to get away doing buildings, and but these guys come in, like pretty full on and doing some amazing stuff and really hardcore stuff, and ours, it was good just to sit back and watch what was going on. You know, like he comes this new era and fucking. Jesus Christ, look at them go. There's no stopping them. And there wasn't.
No, and there hasn't been. The evolution from the next 10 years from that point where I was in.
Yeah. Because just
stories like Gary Goodtime and Fast Owl and all these stories that I'm hearing from now are just how hard these guys were going as well. Plus they had access to the technology. And they had some big wall experience now.
One thing I noticed, you know, when all that started was that base jumping all of a sudden became a lot more accessible to people. And this is just my opinion, but some of the stuff I saw and heard going on in, you know, with this new wave of jumpers going through, there were guys there who didn't really want to be base jump, but they were jumping. It just seemed to be more accessible. You know, a lot. You know, like when we started, it was that fucking scared, and it was you really had to want to do it to be able to do it. And now they've just become a lot more accessible to a lot more people. You know, and there was a couple of incidents at Bungonia. One guy from Western Australia and that guy who died. I can't remember his name.
Torben.
With Peter Briley died in his arms from memory, but stuff like that, you know, there was Joe Shaw, was it? Yeah, who just didn't really, I don't know, it was more peer pressure driven. It was what I felt, you know, but it'd become a lot more accessible. But it really has. I mean, you look at it today it's like any sport. It's like skydiving, you know. It started with Army surplus gear. Well, we started with skydiving surplus gear, and now skydiving has, you know, high tech, custom built stuff with good training systems in place. Same as base jumping, high tech. I mean,
they changed the rules somewhat too. Not the rules, but I mean, like.
Well, they tried to make rules. They tried to take the fun out of it. That's what I was.
In whose rule book, you know? Like, so I was taught by Theo and these guys, and I was taught to, you know, jump off something if it is vertical or overhung. You know, like people jumping a lot of underhung stuff these days, and yes, the sport has progressed, but you know, and also not to jump unless you were sure that you could handle every possible scenario, have the worst opening, deal with it, and still make the landing area. You know, the wind's the right, and the, you know, being the right frame of mind, all of that. We pushed the limits, sure, but with a fair bit of stuff, but. With those fundamentals, it was, and Dwayne and everyone, you know, had this whole different approach, you know, jumping a lot of wind and all of that, and which is good. You're going to get away with it most of the time. But like I said, it started changing the
it was like Arnie off Grovenor that night, you know, where he went in off Grovenor, and 4 of us experienced for the day, base jumpers up there, and there was me, Poo, and Cootsy, that's right, and we all just went. I was the most experienced one. I'm like, well, I'm not jumping. The wind's a bit stiff and it's not an ideal direction. You know, it was there was a bit of downwind in it and stuff, and I just went, I'm not jumping. And Pooh and Cootsy just went, oh well, we're not. If you're not going, we're not going. And Arnie went, and it was terrible what happened to him. You know, that day. So it's, you know, but things without, you know, having said what I've said. Without that attitude, things don't progress. Yeah. You know, and then like we were getting shit. We were getting shit from the Parachute Federation and Wilton Parachute Centre in a way, because we were jumping off Douglas Park, and you know, without people pushing the boundaries. I mean, it's in anything really, in anything, aviation, sports. Business, anything. If you're not pushing the boundaries, things just don't move forward. And it's amazing what those proximity flying and all that shit they're doing these days is pretty impressive. Yeah,
they reckon most of the kids that are starting jumping now, they're getting into the wingsuit base.
Yeah. Well, so Pooh's form that people fill out when they come to do a tandem. One of the questions is, why do you want to get into skydiving? And in the last however many years, 85% of the answers is so I can wingsuit base jump. So it's frightening.
That's the thing. It's more accessible to people now. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there now who have never done a skydive, who are experienced base jumpers. I imagine.
Probably.
They've got base jumping schools running overseas, and
that's true too.
You know,
tandem base.
There's quite a lot of that. Yeah.
But when it started, the ABA and all that sort of stuff, Nick and I were sort of sitting there going, you know, like, why are you wanting to write rules? And, you know, like, we could keep it safe by talking with each other and all that. But it was all of a sudden someone wanted to have rules, and then, well, if you got rules, then you got to police those rules, and you got to discipline people who don't obey those rules. And so now all the fun's going out of it.
Now you've got somewhere for the authorities to go to.
All that sort of stuff.
Well, that was the premise of it,
Gary
really.
Cunningham.
That was the premise of it, was to try and find some
But good, a lot
legal
of
way of doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Sure.
well, I mean, that was the big misconception back then, though. You know, base jumping wasn't illegal. I mean, all you had to do, and I did several legal jumps off buildings and cranes. How many? Yeah, like 5 or 6. And it wasn't illegal. Everyone kept thinking it was illegal. It's illegal to break into a building and climb up, but it's trespassing. It's not the base jumping thing. So. You know, all you had to do is to get permission from someone, and you could go and do it.
Yes.
So the whole premise about we want to make it legal was the wrong angle in my view, and it seemed to me, and I could be wrong, and I probably am wrong, but it seemed to me like people were trying to, right, they want to become the governing authority of it all, and Nick and I was just like, you know, you be careful what you do with that sort of stuff.
They were putting it out there. They were getting in all the magazines now, and the climbing magazines, and Dwayne's writing articles and stuff. So they wanted to be.
Yeah, it kind of went against our thing about, you know, you do it at midnight and run away and don't tell anyone, you know.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But we were also coming into this new era of Pepsi Max Extreme kind of thing, where people wanted to see it. And who started that?
Well, but that was a business thing. I mean, we were paid to do that. It wasn't like
the irony of it is that was the next phase of that was, like, Dan and I were on MTV. Yeah. And we got the job because we were base jumpers.
Yeah, but that's fine.
It wasn't because of our TV skills.
Yeah, it was a professional thing. It's when it started becoming a sport, you know. And I remember, it was sometime in the 90s, that TV show Sale of the Century. There was which I used to watch, right? And a question came up one night on that, saying the acronym, in base jumping, what does BASE stand for? And it was a question on Sale of the Century. And it was at that point I thought, it's become mainstream now, you know, which is good. Because a lot of people didn't know what base jumping was when we started. They didn't really know.
And the illegal jumps, one was the Rialto that you guys did.
Illegal?
Yeah. How did you get that? Who gave you permission to do that?
So I'd done with Nick for Terrace. We'd done a couple of. We'd done some legal base jumps out of a mobile crane in Silverwater for this computer company that used to sponsor Nick, Star Micronics. So they used to sponsor solar cars. We used to go and do parachute displays for them around regional New South Wales into their computer stores and stuff. And they ultimately sponsored Nick on the base climb adventure. But so we'd done a couple of jumps out of a mobile crane there, and I don't recall entirely what the initial contact with me was, but they rang me and said, "Do you want to do this for this show?" And I said, "Well, sure. How much are you offering?" And
I said, Beyond Productions? Or?
Beyond Productions, yeah. Actually, I've got the correspondences in that box there, but they said, well, no, we don't want to pay you. And I said, well, I don't want to do it. And they went, well, it's going to be national TV and all this sort of stuff. I said, well, I don't give a shit about that. I mean, it's, you know, I'd love to jump Rialto because I hadn't jumped, but it's like, well, you know, you're going to pay for it or not? And they said no. So anyway, and all these other guys, and this was around about the time when all the new wave was starting to come through, they're all going, oh, we'll do it. But the problem was that the insurance company wouldn't insure any of them. And the insurers that the production company had, they'd only insure me because I had a track record of having been insured for a base jump before, right? Which the contract,
have a look in there,
somewhere
Carly.
There's a policy in there somewhere.
Have a look in there, Carly. In this one.
So that was why they'd do it. And then, of course, I'm thinking, how can I get Carly onto this, right? Air-to-air camera. And so I wanted... Originally,
first camera jump, no pressure.
Originally, I wanted... $5,000 a jump is what I said to them. Yeah. Thinking, fuck them, you know. Yeah. And they, you know, they didn't have the money. And it literally, I'd said no, and they'd asked Dwayne, or was it Dwayne or someone... Some of the guys, and the insurers are going, no. Theo Thomas is the only guy that's had an insurance policy. So he's the only one we'll insure. Mm-hmm. And so that went on for 6 months, and eventually they said, well, how about we just give you a flat fee of $5,000 $1,000. And I said, okay, well, as long as I can bring my have a air-to-wear cameraman there. And they said, yeah, no worries. And so that's how it all...
For $1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
give
got
me
five.
$1,000. You give me $1,000 out of your $5.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Fucking. And
Pressure.
that old fax messages. When was that?
Fax message. Facsimile.
But 1995.
Face jumping facsimile.
Anyway, so yeah, that was the main reason, was the liability issue with the council and the insurance for the production company. Yeah. Why they came back, because I just basically, because I didn't care. I mean, someone else did it, wanted to do it for free, and it would have been fine. But I thought, it's a commercial proposition they were making, and we weren't sort of after the attention and all that. But anyway, so we went down there, and Matt Latanzi, who's Olivia Newton-John's ex-husband, was the host of the show, and it was a great weekend. The problem was, and the building guy, John Apps, remember him? He was the
CEO of St Martin's Properties.
Yeah, CEO of St Martin's Properties.
Half owned by the Kuwaiti government. The Rialto, half owned by St Martin's Properties and half by the Kuwaiti government.
Yeah, so there was it was a big deal for the production company to get it through. There was also a lot of Hong Kong or Chinese business in there, and they were worried about bad juju if something happened. So they'd set up all these little...
No pressure.
There was a few little
pressure, right?
bamboo sticks with shit set up around the place to ward off stuff. And we went up there and did the recce on the roof, and they had this... So the whole top of the building, there's a wall of the building, would have been chest or neck height. It was quite high. And then on top of that were these fluoro lights. And we went up to John and we said, well, mate, those fluoro lights will have to go. And he's like, yep, no worries. Next thing you know, the maintenance guys are up there, and we're thinking, fuck, how good is this?
Well, what else can we get?
Elevated to the top, escorted around everywhere, fluoro lights off.
Had a floor to pack in the Rialto.
Yeah, they had a whole floor. And the guy, Grollo, the guy who built, because the building had only just been finished and was only half occupied.
Grollo.
Yeah. He was going on, this is a bit of a side story, but he was going how strong the glass is on these windows, because we were saying, like, I get vertigo when I stand against the windows. He's going, but you jump off. I said, but it's different, And he goes, oh, you should see how strong this glass is. And he like 3 or 4 metres back, big bloke, and just ran and shoulder charged the glass full on.
Yeah.
And he goes, see how strong it is? And we're there going, fuck, and the whole window's going wong, wong, wong like this. Anyway, so we had permission. So they'd got permission from Rialto. They got permission from Melbourne City Council, and then they got permission from, I guess it was the council as well, where we landed in a park next to the Yarra, which is where the old helipad used to be there. And we had permission to do as many jumps as we liked off the Rialto all weekend.
Fucking
all weekend.
Giddy up.
And we're thinking, how
good is this?
How good is this, right? So come Saturday, it's fucking blowing its ring out.
Straight into the face.
Straight in the face. We're throwing apple cores off the building and they're blowing straight back up and coming back over. And it was howling all day, right until sunset. We're like, fucking hell, So we all go out to dinner that night with the producers and all that sort of stuff. And come Sunday, we get back in there, fucking howling again. And we're like, no.
Devastated.
It was, and it wasn't one of those ones where, I think towards late Sunday evening, the wind had kind of dropped a bit, but we're like, fuck, and we're over the city and it was all public. It got down to maybe 20 knots or 15 knots and we just went, nah, it's just, we didn't want to fuck it up, yeah. So that night in the hotel, the producers are on the phone to the council, the insurers, this and that, trying to arrange for us to jump Monday morning. And the council said, I think it was, we had to do it before 8 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they got a helicopter. The forecast was good. We got up there in the morning. It was beautiful, mate. It was dead calm. The Crown Casino was under construction at that time, and so that building was probably, I don't know, halfway up or something. Yeah. And because this chopper was just sitting off there for ages, flying around and waiting for us to jump. All the construction workers were there, and it was great. And we did the jump, and that was it. So we ended up getting the $5,000 for one jump.
Yeah, they were on the phone to Lloyd's of London, waiting for the policy to come
like in the morning,
for Monday morning jump, because we only had 48-hour window to do the jumps, and they're like, you're good to go. We just climbed up the ladders.
The choppers are up there all waiting to go, and it was pretty funny. And I remember when we jumped, so we did and they said to me, because I hadn't done a base jump for a year or something before that, and they said, can you talk on the way down? And I'm like, no. They said, well, what about can you count or, do 1,000? So, okay, no worries, I'll do that. And then, of course, I was shitting myself, anyway, it was pretty funny, but it went off great. And I remember when I opened, hearing the. Do you remember that? The guys in the construction and the Crown Casino, all the workers, like this, clapping and cheering.
Peak hour traffic.
Full peak hour traffic, mate.
We had to cross 3 blocks to get to the park, to the Arrow.
Yeah.
So it was like,
That was good. But yeah, I mean, they came to the party eventually with it. But it was a shame that if the weather had been calm, we figured we could probably easily do 4 or 5 a day there with packing and everything.
Yeah.
So we could have done 10 jumps off it, but the weather was just fucked.
Yeah. First legal building in Australia.
Yeah. That's all there's all paperwork.
Well, it took Theo 8 months to get it across the line, though.
Yeah.
They were talking for a long time.
Yeah.
And what about your connection to Bungonia, Carly? How many jumps do you reckon you've done off Bungonia?
Ooh, I don't know. Quite a few.
Yeah.
Mostly solos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time down there. Well, I lived at Jarvis Bay, so it was like 2 hours on a dirt road, or hour and 45 or something. Yeah, I don't know. I've done 40, I reckon, at least. 40, maybe more, maybe 50.
Off bungers?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, but probably 90% of them were on my own. Yeah.
I remember you telling me there's some moments that you'd like there on the low point and going,
Forgot to tell it someone.
I haven't told anybody.
Lots of times.
Oh. Yeah. But you'd get away with it because you were like Base Dog's godfather.
Yeah,
You?
that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, no probs. No, just again stuck to the rules. If I was by myself, it's like every footstep getting to the launch point was super cautious. Can't roll an ankle, can't whatever, and the jump conditions have to be perfect. Confident. It's funny because I had the first time I did Bungonia, I took a long time to get my base number because I did a. Can you grab me a beer, please?
Sure.
Nice. Oh yeah, yeah.
Love a beer, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks so much.
I did a bridge antenna, a building. Took a long time to get my cliff, about 3 or 4 years or something.
Yeah.
But went down with Cootsy and did one jump and it was fucking sensational. Had a really old mate, Tom Plummer, who I grew up with, taking photos, hanging off the edge of the cliff with one hand on a rope, no harness, like this. Just got the most amazing shots, best base shots I've ever had. And then we packed real quick, went and did it again, and I had a 180 on the second one and got it around, pilot chute, skimmed the cliff. And then after a while, I just got confident and I had a few 180s. And I'm like, right, don't need to wear a helmet anymore. So I didn't wear a helmet for 15 years. Never worn knee pads or elbow pads. And then, after a while, I just thought, I should probably start putting a helmet back on, eh? It's not about how good you think you are. And been pretty lucky. I had that one in Switzerland, but I have been very incident free my whole base career. Yeah.
And you've got some pretty special local jumps as well, being here, because you guys grew up here on the northern beaches.
Yes.
So born and bred. I was born in Wagga Wagga, but moved here when I was 2 years old.
Oh.
So I've been here since 67.
I was born in Manly Hospital.
We lived at Fairlight then.
Right, did North Head once.
Only once?
I think only once or twice, maybe. Can't remember. Yeah, not a lot. Always pretty scared of static lining low stuff.
And
but I did a free fall of it.
Yeah, but how do you find the jumps near the ocean, so close to the ocean? Because you've got another one here, Zen's Head.
Do I? Zen's Head. Yes, my old dog Zen. That's where we threw his ashes off when he died. Yes, there is one here. We've kept it pretty quiet over the years, and I don't know. I guess some people know about it, but Dukes jumped it.
Yep. Chunny?
Dukes, yeah.
Same day, or?
So I guess the across from where I used to live for 22 years, where I rented this house, and I looked at it for about 6 years before I got the courage to jump it, and with Chunny, when you forgot your rig conveniently that morning.
We're not talking about that right now.
We're not?
No.
No, that's right.
I thought we can talk about anything we like.
That's right. You did too, you muppet.
We thought we'd give him a bunch of pilot chutes, he'd be right.
That's what Theo said. He said, mate,
Nice.
I've got
Nice work, Ronnie. Forget your rig, did you?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Who
So
does that?
it's like, board shorts, t-shirt, no shoes,
That's mine.
no helmet, and landed in the water with Chuddy. And then it took me 6 years to jump it again. And Beck Scott had turned up, and she took some photos from the bottom, and I landed on the rocks for the first time. Yeah, it's fucking...
That wasn't the one with Dukes?
It's pretty hardcore. No, and then the last one I did was with Dukes, and it was 6 years again. So it took me 18 years to do 3 jumps off it. I'm sure Dwayne would have had 50 or 60 off it, you know, which you could, but it's a fucking scary one. It's a nasty looking cliff, and it's sheer to where you open, and it's low, and the landing area is pretty bad. But yeah, Dukes nearly went in off it. Actually, he towed his pilot chute. He was doing something weird with his packing his fucking twin pin, and he was, I don't know, he towed his pilot chute for a second, and it was like, yeah, heavy. But it's a pretty nice one.
Yeah,
it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah,
the one I did up by myself when Beck Scott was there, I just peeked out on the headland. A big humpback was breaching right off the front. I'm like, oh yeah, you all good?
Yeah, exactly. What about in the mountains? What's your favourite sort of jumps out there?
Oh, I haven't done many in the mountains. Not many at all. I've only done landslide and the overhang.
Not the launch pad?
No, I've never done the launch pad. No, too scared. I'd love to run off it one day. It's not out of the question. Slide her up, jump in the mountains. But I've done the finger.
Yeah,
of course.
Like I say, you've landed in that landing area.
Yeah, I've landed in the landing area. Yeah, that's all right.
What was the one I did up there? Was that the finger or the...
No, the overhang. Yeah. No, I don't have much experience in the mountains. Done the, you know. I love it.
I think I've
never done Bridal Veil.
That's the only one I've done up there, I think.
Yeah.
We went there years ago, like the finger and overhang and all that, and looked at it and went and landing areas are no good, you know. Yeah. And that's one of the things, you know, with the new guys coming through and better gear and, you know, mind you, gears, I don't know, just more experience and more confidence, I think. But that one we jumped on the Bucks thing, the overhang was, you got to land on a fucking ledge. Well, it's a big ledge, but it's...
No, it's just an angled slope.
Yeah, big slope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we looked at that back in the day and just went, fuck, no.
Yeah.
Well, Yatesy, when Trevor Yates did the first jump in the mountains out of the cable car and broke his leg, and he turned up, like, say Theo turns up to do his first jump or something.
Yeah, he's...
And Yatesy's his instructor with a broken leg.
He's
cable car.
busted ankle, his first...
his first jump.
His first guy... So this is how I met Yatesy. His first jump back after he broke his ankle, jumping out of the cable car, was dispatching a load of static line students, and I was one of those students.
Off Mooney?
No, out of an aeroplane.
Out of an aeroplane.
Out of the aeroplane. 1982, 1st of May 1982, I did my first jump, and that was his first jump back. He still had a plaster cast on his hand. There's a great photo of Yatesy. I'd have it somewhere, of him.
I remember it.
Going out of the cable car. He was jumping a Swift or a 5-cell thing, and with a ripcord, spring-loaded parachute, the whole kahuna, right? And there's a great photo of him like this, in a star position with the ripcord and the cable hanging out there.
Yeah, nothing much happening behind him.
No wonder why he broke his ankle. But yeah, that's how I met Yatesy. And then when I wanted to get into base jumping, he went overseas not long after that, a while after that, and that's when we hooked up. But yeah.
He was such a beautiful man, Yatesy. He's such a fucking... Yeah, funny left field dude. Super lovely. Super clever and careful, and always, you know, it really surprises me that he went in like that.
Yeah. Fucked up and went in, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the big Glassy and the Grand Canyon, these places weren't even opened when I was still jumping then.
Yeah.
What were they saying? There's 21 sites now in the Blue Mountains.
Is there?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do some more. I went to do another one with Rob and Coppard once, and I was like, nah, I'm not going. Coppard didn't go, Rob did. Rob Fry.
Yeah. Mate. Is there some stories about that guy?
Fucking great.
My God.
Yeah.
What did you see him do?
Oh, he just jumped this super low thing with a really shitty landing area.
Right.
Yeah. Can't remember.
Yeah. He was
hardcore, that's for sure.
Famous for his BMX bike in the canopy launch pad stories. Yeah. And when did Mr. Fielding come into your world?
Pedro Pedro started jumping with Dines and Eros. So there was me and Yatesy. So in the mid to late 80s, there was me, Yatesy, and Mark Scott, Andre, Tony Slavic, basically.
Panella?
Oh, Panella came a lot. Yeah, she started base jumping a little bit after that, but who was sort of jumping in Sydney all the time. And then Eros and those guys. So I was jumping at Wilton back then, and a bit at Elderslie. But there was Eros and Dingy at Elderslie who started jumping off Northbridge and Mooney. I think they started doing that while it was still under construction when we were jumping that.
Yeah, I just remember him from Elderslie, years back, and they were all starting to jump.
And there was one night. There was one night we went to jump. Who was it? Were you there? We went to jump that Macquarie and those two buildings, and they were already there to jump. And so we thought, we won't go up there. So we waited on the ground, and Pedro came in and landed. Fucking hell! And hit.
That's right.
They used to have those concrete seats near bus stops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, straight into the side of it. Oh. No, it wasn't Pedro. It was Jono. John Garlic. Yeah. So we were there, me and Carly and Nick, or I can't remember who now, but we were there to jump, and we get there, and these other guys have turned up at the same time, and they were kind of about to get in there. So it
must have been the second time we jumped it, because remember that when Governor Phillip was first jumped, Theo was first off it, then Nick Vateris, and then me. And then Governor Macquarie was like the two brother buildings next to each other. And then we were the first to jump Governor Macquarie. And then Pedro told us on the drop zone, he goes, I was first off Governor Macquarie the other day. Just did it. We went, oh, really? What night did you do it? He goes, like Wednesday night. We're like, oh, really? What time? He goes, oh, about midnight. He goes, oh, we were there at 10 p.m. We beat him like 2 hours. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, well, he's just... I mean, there's just so many things that Peter's brought to the sport, because he was really in that. He sort of come from that era.
Mix from the old to the new.
That's right, yeah. He sort of blended it in, really got off on what the younger guys...
He trained the new generation, Pedro, pretty well.
That's right. So he was training Gaddy, Dwayne.
Yeah, exactly.
Little Buddy, I think, would have been coming in around that time. Tom Bejic. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the godfather.
He was the godfather. He's the godfather.
Base jumping. I'd certainly pull back by then, but...
No, he seemed to just be winding up and up. What was going to stop him? Well, we know what stopped him in the end. Yeah. But it still hasn't stopped him. Just taken up another adventure sport.
Yeah.
Life sport.
Yeah, Ace cool.
Ace cool.
You can't kill him. That's for sure. I remember 20 years ago we counted 9 lives he used. More than 20 years ago.
Yeah. So that was in 2000 when Yatesy went in. So that's 20 years ago.
Was that 2000, was it? Yeah, he rang me. The funny thing about... Well, not the funny thing about that, but I can't remember where I was working, but he rang me the night before and said, well, we're going to Big Glassy, you want to come out? And I had to work, He was... Who was there? Mark Hay. Mark Hay was there, who was
legend photographer.
Yeah. Yeah, that was terrible when we heard that, because I was pretty close to Yatesy. We lived together shared a flat in Lane Cove for 5 or 6 years, and all those early base jumping days, it was me and Yatesy on every jump. Yeah, and it was strange, just the circumstance, and he was, he fucked up a bit by using a small pilot chute, and then what actually got him, he died of a broken neck. So I think he, just the way he'd come through, what happened to Carly in Switzerland sounded like a different circumstance, but the velocities would have been similar, and a branch had just, I think, copped him on the back of the neck and snapped his neck, which is, a couple of inches one way or the other, he probably would have got away with it, end up hung up in a tree, or a couple of busted legs or something like that, but it was not good.
Yeah. And how do you feel about the way that the sport is, the direction the sport's heading in?
I think it's fucking great.
What Dukes is up to, and
I think it's great. I think it's great.
It's awesome. It's like you've seen those fucking jet-powered wingsuits now.
Yeah, I've seen the ones that you could even put
See the
on
BMW ad?
Yeah, that's the one.
Just everything. This is fucking amazing.
It's really become. I mean, there are base jumping athletes out there now. I reckon.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%. And that late, did you see that guy launching his wingsuit through a fucking cave?
Yeah.
They're doing some. Yeah, it's you know the death rate is up there, you know, accordingly. But that's what comes with it, you know. Just how it is.
Yeah, it's a risky sport, you know, like a lot of things. But
But
I
it's
think
fucking cool.
I mean, yeah, we've gone
stuff
from jumping off with modified skydiving gear to people flying wingsuits down the sides of mountains and through holes and cracks and just on the top of ski slopes. And it's amazing what's going on now. It's fantastic. I think it's great.
Did you do any wingsuit stuff, Carly?
Not base. No, I was ready to. I wanted to do half dome. When I did half dome, I wanted to do jump my wingsuit off it after jumping onto it. But
Tell them about the half dome jump. Go on.
Yeah.
But
well, that's when I met
never.
you,
I
actually.
did about 40 wingsuit jumps out of planes.
Tell them about the half dome jump. I've got to go for a piss.
With the Birdman Classic, the Birdman Classic wingsuit, and
Half dome.
I thought, you know, you got to do, if you're going to be a wingsuit pilot, it's like flying an aeroplane. You know, you got to be current.
Yeah.
You got to keep doing it. You got to be proficient and fucking 100% focused. And you know, at that point, I was just starting to rebuilding the boat. You know, and I just thought, no, I'm just pretty happy just to get off something flat, dumb, and stupid, and get the fuck away from it.
Yeah.
Open really high.
Yeah.
Make the landing area. Giddy up. Do it again another day. Yeah. I'll get a piss too.
Yeah, you do have a piss. We'll just leave it rolling. We'll come back to it.
A contract for what?
Oh, the insurance. I had to sign a waiver. Here it is. Here. This is it. Yeah, this deed, waiver and indemnity, March 1989, between Star Micronics and Theo Thomas, hereinafter called the Jumper. 1989, we did this was the one that we did out of the mobile, not the Eastern Creek ones. This is before that.
31 years ago.
Yeah.
We did the Rialto.
No. This is the one we did it in Silverwater.
That was for the base climb, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wilson's Mobile Cranes, DMAG HC 340, 340 tonner. The Jumper agrees with the function organiser that the function organiser shall not be in any way responsible or liable for any loss, damage or injury, whether or not fatal, to or arising out of or as a result of any person using or base parachute jumping from the equipment. The Jumper shall indemnify and hold harmless and continue to indemnify, hold, harness the functions of fucking... But it was this thing that why the Rialto guys would only go with us, because we had a track record, and insurance companies like to be able to, you know, they like to be able to see a risk, and they like to be able to wrap it up in a little bundle so it's quantifiable for them. They understand what the risk is and what their liability is, and you know, and with all the other guys, because they'd never done it. I think I'd done 5 legal ones by that stage, but you know, which is why they said we'll only insure this guy.
Yeah.
Little did they know I hadn't jumped for a year.
and had been arrested as a terrorist.
I just could talk the talk.
Like the jumps I just done on Mortal Kombat, I've done for a year as well. But yeah, so you'd have the most legal.
I was going to say, just to take a seat.
You'd have the most legal base jumps in the country.
I've got no fucking idea.
Sure.
I don't know.
You're more than Nick. You're on all the Nicks.
No, Nick's was on. No, well, we did. Nick did a bunch at Eastern. I did 3 at Eastern Creek, but I think they didn't. Oh no, I can't remember. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, so...
You got an ashtray?
Yeah.
So, Carly, when I first...
Film, though.
What? Yeah.
Well, probably
What's
got
that?
you in a wide shot, it's all good.
Was it?
No, I'm just close up on it, but it's that one. No, it's all good.
Oh, wait,
My end.
Oh, we're having a break.
We are. Well, we
fall on,
can have a break. You can have a
No,
break.
it's all good.
No,
So, Theo, you said
Get it on.
that you've got a couple of stories there that you...
Oh,
thinking
look, there's a
about.
whole bunch, but I think the biggest, most hardcore fucking jump I've heard is Carly's jump off off Half Dome.
20 years ago.
So,
Was that to...
It was 20 years.
you can tell the story now because the pilot's dead. So
21 years ago.
No recourse on him.
He is too. Frederick von Frederick.
Great
Rolly
name.
Collins. Yeah, it just sort of wasn't a planned thing. It just happened. I was over in the States working with Grant Fletcher, rigging on this Disney show with Reg Stew, and we went to Paris to do a skydive one weekend and met up with this guy, Rolly Collins, who consequently in the 80s used to do this California Challenge sporting event where he'd do like multi-sport days, all televised. He was right into it, just like really at the forefront of what the Llewellyn brothers were doing and all that stuff that sort of come afterwards. And he was a Lake Elsinore E-team hang glider pilot with the eagle claw as their symbol, and fucking mad ass, like seriously, very funny guy. And he flew planes, and he was a hang glider pilot and done some base jumps and skydives and surfed and rock climbed, serious hardcore rock climber. He was a search and rescue guy in Yosemite with Dave Schultz and those guys. And we met him, and I'd met this guy Rolly at my first world meet when I was doing freestyle in '92, where I met Mike Vale. And Mike, still one of my closest buddies on the planet, and we've had many good adventures after world meets, going on base jumps, in the States and Zion and Arizona and in Spain and whatnot. And so we were chatting with Rolly in the kitchen at Paris Valley, and he come up with this idea of doing a sky rock boogie, which is kind of like this thing that he used to do. Except, go on a tour, hire a plane, and we'll get in, we'll go rock climbing, we'll do some skydives, do some base jumps. Fucking great idea. And so, we hatched this plan, do this sky rock boogie, and we finished this job and hired this sort of 182. And Rolly he was an okay pilot, I guess. I didn't really get to know how good he was, but he was blind as a fucking bat, with Coke bottle glasses, epic rock climber, had a few demons on his shoulder, loved a drink, and we took off from Elsinore and did this beat up across his mates' places on the hill there, all these hang glider pilots, like fucking wheels through the trees, and we're like, okay, righto, here we go. Flew up to Davis in California and did some skydives with Charles Bryan and Mike Vale, and then jumped Auburn Bridge, went and checked out Charles's helicopter, and went up to Lake Tahoe, flew up on a full moon at night, and Rolly couldn't see shit, and we did some bandit jumps at Tahoe, and Grant Fletcher did his first night jump, and we rock climbed all week and on the piss, and seriously fucking wore ourselves out. Anyway, on the way up, we flew over Yosemite, and I told Rolly, I said, look, fucking I had this affinity with Half Dome, I always wanted to jump Half Dome or rock climb it and jump it, or whatever. Didn't, like the idea of El Cap. And he said, if you want to get away with it, because the ranges were pretty hot at that time, he said, top land it. That's the way to. He said it's never been done. He said there was about 5 loads in the 80s when they top landed onto El Cap, but it's part of the mainland and not really sticking out like the fucking moon, like Half Dome is. And I went, oh yeah, I sort of had this idea in the back of my mind, and we had this full-on week, and then on the way back, Charles and Mike were going to do a free-fly meet in Germany, and Mike didn't want to go, and Charles stuck his hand up, and I went, fuck, I just want someone to jump with, let's go. And so I drove a van to Yosemite and turned up 6 hours later, just when they flew in, and we went into the valley, checked out the landing area, and came back, and it was like, it wasn't going to happen, It was like fucking 20 knots at 12,000 feet, which was our exit altitude, 3,000 feet above the top of Half Dome, which is 9,000 feet. And the wind was like 20 knots at 12 and 10 knots across the top of the dome. It was like, fuck, pretty much on the limit.
At night?
At night, yeah, half moon. Yeah. And the moon was like sitting half, like just like Half Dome. I was like, fuck. And everyone was so worn out, and everyone's just asleep in the van. And and Rolly had given me the last weather forecast, and I was just out there pacing up and down the runway at Mariposa Airport, and it was about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I just couldn't make a decision. I was like, you know, just thinking, fucking if and an R and about it, you know, for this long, probably should just say no, you know, and give it away. And then all of a sudden, like every coyote in the fucking district just started going nuts. It was like hundreds of coyotes going awesome. And I was like, righto. maybe I should give it a nudge then, eh?
Yeah.
And I went back to the van, slammed open the door, said, let's go. And so Rolly, we taped up the numbers of the plane and turned transponder off, and we took off into the night. One of the most important spots of my life. I got no goggles, and I fucking got my head hanging out the door, and Charles was not very confident. He'd done like 5,000 skydives, but only about 50 base jumps. And I said, just I'll get out first. I opened. We were both packed slider down. Just get out, short delay. I said, get on my ass and my canopy and just do what I do. So I was pretty much landing him on the top as well, and had my head out the door, and I couldn't see Half Dome. I was like, fuck, man. I was like, Riley, I can't see it. And he's like, you will. And, you know, big granite fucking thing. And even in the half moonlight, once we got close enough, I'm like, I got it. But my eyes were pissing with water, the most important spot of my life, you know, because it was like we exited about 2 miles upwind at 2 in the morning from 12,000 feet, pop and pop. And, so anyway, Charles opened, got on my ass, and came in and just fucking landed on the top, you know. It was like landing on the moon. It was pretty full on. And, you know, but Charles landed quite close to the edge, and I'd sort of landed, gathered up my canopy, and easy landed. He's sort of, it was about 10 foot from the edge of the fucking 2,500 sheer foot drop, and I jumped on him. Well, his canopy was sort of 10 foot. He was a bit back, but it was close. And anyway, we hung around up the top, and he had a hip flask of whiskey, so I was sipping that, and I had this really strange feeling just to check out where we were sitting under this rock, and we were sitting in this rock, and it sort of caved in all the way around, and I got on my belly and I was wandering around underneath it, and Charles going, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, I just got to look under this rock, and stuck my head right under where I'd sort of made my way all the way around, and pulled out this old Indian drum, like jammed in there as far as I could see. I saw this little bit of sinew and pulled out this old Indian drum, and it was like really
drum
trippy.
Or a rattle or something.
Yeah, it was a drum like about this long with a stick on it and shit, and hundreds of years old it looked. And put it back where it was, and anyway, we repacked up there, and in 10 knots of wind. It was like fucking worst pack of my life. It was horrendous. Not a great, like not really flat rocks or anything, you know. In 10 knots of wind, no packing weights, and it was shit in the dark. And we ran off, and it had been such a big week, just rock climbing and on the piss and everything. And we went to sleep when we in the landing area, ran into the woods, sort of into the bear country there, and went to sleep on a couple of rocks, and woke up just tripping. Because the last thing I remember was Rolly before we got out, and he's just going, land on top, land on top, land on top. I'm just like, fucking shut up, trying to concentrate. Well, we get back from the valley about midday or something after we stashed our gear, went back and got it, and come back to the Mariposa Airport, and Rolly's pacing up and down the runway. He just didn't know what had happened, you know. He was stoked. It was pretty full on. But so I went back 20 years later, which was last year. Sort of interested about a few things about that jump, but basically went to Mike Vales and hung out with him, and it was fucking awesome. He goes, bro, I can't fly you. He said, I'm fucking blind at night, and there were forest fires through California. So we drove his motorhome to Yosemite, and I went and checked out tree houses in Oregon and shit, and then came into Yosemite and hiked it by myself. It was almost 20 years to the day later, and topped out on the technical full moon. And I got up to the top, and I've just fucking topped out and gone, fuck me. Thought, that's hardcore. You know, like, if I'd have looked on top of that before I did that jump, I never would have gone, you know. Because I didn't know any better. I just come in and landed, you know, and it was dark, and it was fucking tight, of course, you know, in the middle of nowhere, exposed. But, when I went back, I hiked up there, and I was, just thought, holy shit. Because Dukes went up there. When Dukes finally got up there, he goes, "Oh yeah, I went fucking up to half dome." He goes, "Yeah, that was pretty cool what you did, landing on top and all of that." He goes, "Oh, no worries." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Fuck, man." Fuck, that's tight. Because it's a pretty big area, but it kind of slopes away a lot, and there's a lot of shit that don't really see it as you coming in at night.
Yeah,
good thing.
I think Dukes did,
but it was pretty special jump.
Yeah,
one of the more special ones for sure.
Didn't he do the El Cap and Half Dome in a day or something?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. Did you do any overseas jumps there?
I don't think so. No, everything in Australia.
True Aussie based jumper.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. There's not many of them, is there? Because usually everyone's jumping overseas and then come back here and jump.
They're coming back with 50 jumps or something like that after one of those courses, and then they're like, okay.
Yeah. When did you jump a building in Bangkok, was it?
Oh, yeah.
When I was with Shani over there?
Yeah. The one that Cootsy and Arnie jumped and the Tiger.
Get out.
Yeah, I went to jump that one too, didn't get off it. I did a few good ones off the Western Stanford Plaza in Singapore. Just rented a room and jumped off the balcony all night. Just kept coming in the foyer and never left. And after a while I go, "Hello." They're all like, "The fuck?"
That's gold. What about your little book there, Theo? Have you got any little stories?
Oh, mate, there's a couple in there. I mean, you've got to read through it, but there was a couple of classic ones like the Douglas Park Bridge.
When did that get open?
So on the 23rd of December 1985.
There you go.
Yachi went first. And
I thought you were first of it.
No, Yachi went first.
Oh, you were first off Mooney.
I was first off Mooney and Grovenor and all those ones, but yeah. It's... and Paul Borlase, this is a classic, Paul Borlase, who's now works for Qantas as a pilot, was holding a pilot chute. There's a photo somewhere in the book about it. That was great. That was a good jump. It was 170 feet. It was just before we went up. So this was the first base jump I'd done with Yatesy. And it was just before we went up to the 85, 86 Nationals, skydiving Nationals at Toogoolawah. It was great. But the first base jump in Queensland ever was me, Yatesy and Mick Kaleher off the Riverside Office Centre on the 10th of January 1986. It was a funny... And Dingy and Eros were the ground crew for us. And that was pretty funny because I'm just reading what's in here, no troubles getting up, through a drifter. And it went straight down, no wind at all. Geared up, heard about big pilot chutes. We only got a small one with a short bridle.
Heard about big pilot chutes. Yeah. Great time to think about that.
So I only got a big one with a short bridle, so I elected to go off buddy method, which is static line. I go first, good launch. Oh no, I was first. Yeah, I was first off that one. I go first, good launch on heading opening. Weird being under canopy in between city buildings, so it was my first jump in the city. Mick goes second with a static line free bag. Good launch and opening. Radical canopy control. Remember Mick?
Yeah.
What his canopy control's like?
Fuck yeah.
Trevor goes last, a 1.5 second delay. Good on heading opening. So Yatesy did the thing. Good on heading opening. Workers are arriving at work as Trevor is launching. They looked a bit stunned, but managed to applaud him as he landed. Piled into the back of Trev's van, hanging out the back, covering up the number plates as we did our getaway. And we drove, I remember this, because Mick Kaleher had bought a caravan at the Nationals for $20. A whole caravan, right? So I don't know, none of us knew what to do. It wasn't Mick's going, "Oh man, it's all good, it's mine." And anyway, but it wasn't his. And so there was a bit of an issue going on with that. And we drove all the way to Surfers Paradise non-stop for the getaway. Ended up on the front page news 2 days later. By that time we were in Byron Bay. First base jumps done in Queensland. Steve Dines was the driver. I remember Dingy just fucking down the road, you know. It was a classic. And then there's a picture There's a picture somewhere in here of
Oh, you got that newspaper clippings.
yeah, that's the one there, with a little dotted line.
Mm-hmm.
Dotted line of where we all went. So yeah, and that Gateway Bridge, which we spoke about earlier, that was great. That was January 27, 86. And then Riverside Office Centre. So this is with Marilyn, who died at Wallombi.
Were you there on that one?
No, I was at. She was coming to stay at my place, and on their way down, they stopped at Wallombi to do a jump, and
Who was she with?
I think she was with Alison.
That's right, Alison Stacey.
Yeah, and I think she had a bag. She had a canopy packed in a bag, had a line twist, hit the cliff, and died. And I always remember I was at Wilton jumping, and I got the phone call because I think I was going to meet her at Wilton or something, and then we were going to, anyway. So, but we did some. That was pretty bad, but we did some good jumps.
You both dated base girls there at one stage, didn't you? Were you with Penella for a bit, Carl?
Yeah, I was with Penella for a bit, about a year or so. Yeah, it's another level. Base jumping with your partner. Yeah.
So here it says
Terrifying.
this is February 86, the 10th. Talking to Marilyn on the phone the night before. She's telling me about the jumps her and Alison had done off Riverside since we jumped it. I got jealous and decided to fly to Brisbane at 7 a.m. the next morning for a jump the next night. Had lunch with Marilyn, packed, had a snooze, then arrived at the site at 2 a.m, building very near completion. We find a window that has not been put in yet. Perfect. Perfect point launch from the window. Alison goes first, 2-second delay, good on heading opening. I go second, good on heading opening. When I land, so what we used to have to do, Riverside Office Centre was on Eagle Street, I think the name it was. And when you jumped it, you jump off, you'd open over Eagle Street, and then you'd take a right down Queen Street and land. So you couldn't actually see the landing area from the building, right? Because there were other buildings, there was an intersection. And so what happened here was Alison went first, I land, good on setting up, I land, and police car drives up and starts hassling Alison and me. So the cops are there hassling us, and I'm like, oh, I'm from Sydney. I actually pulled out my plane ticket, said I'm on the 6 a.m. flight back to Sydney, trying to get out of trouble. And both of us knew that Marilyn was still up on the building. And then and we're talking to the cops, and they're just about to leave us alone. Then you hear this, oh, fuck. And Marilyn lands in front of the cops. They take names and hassle us a bit. But Marilyn was the beautiful girl, blonde, buxom, blonde bombshell, you know. And the look on these policemen's faces, seeing this girl that looked like Marilyn, who's just jumped off the building and landed in front of them, and the cop goes, "Are you the last one, love?" She goes, "Yeah, I'm the last one. There's no more of us up there." And it was an absolute classic. They were completely gobsmacked. The look on their faces. No major hassles or media involved. It says on that. And then there's a really good. So there's a really good somewhere here. Alison and here it is. So this is sent to me by Marilyn. So Alison and Marilyn jumped off the building one night, and the same thing happened. Right, they come round the corner, open over Eagle Street, take a right on Queen, and land. And there were two journalists in a car sitting there. And you know that movie Where Eagles Dare with Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood? Yeah, it's an old war movie. Anyway, this article here is Where Eagle Street Dares. And the girls landed in front of the journos, and they're like, "Oh, this is great, we'll do a story. And they're like going, no, don't say anything, we don't want any publicity. So all that happened was two men, they've said here, maybe I was on that, I don't know. Two men jumped off the building, and then here's a little cartoon of a car with journalists in it saying, "Where are we going to get a story at this time of night?" with two parachutes sitting on the top of the car. That's the only thing that came in the paper. So they I think they changed it to men instead of women, and yeah, it was It was absolute gold.
That is gold.
There were some other classic ones. I'll tell you the one funny story I got to tell you, which 5 new daredevils leap off New Bridge. That was the one. But there is a funny one with that card in there where the Club Grovenor, we used to call ourselves, the 5 of us that were jumping off there. Oh, it was just, cut a long story short, we used to go and drink. We used to drink up at the Glenmore Hotel at the Rocks. That was the skydivers sort of pub up there. And we're up there one night, and I was going away on tour somewhere. So Club Grosvenor gave me this card because I was going away. The Club Grosvenor farewells.
Just put that blue bit down.
The Club Grosvenor farewells Theo, and there's a few shots in here of jumps off various bits and pieces and
lips.
Stuff.
I can see the lips.
Grosvenor was an amazing building.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we were at the Glenmore, and we'd been on it and drinking and all that. We said, "Fuck this, let's go and jump Northbridge." So we all drove down to Northbridge from the pub. Went home Lane Cove, got my rig, and there was me, Nick, Fateris, and Andre and Mark Scott. That might have been it. I think Penella might have been there for some reason. I know Julie was there. Anyway, so we jump off, and as soon as I jump, no, that's right, I'm on the edge, and the cops pull up. You couldn't believe it. 3 a.m, no fucking traffic. I'm standing on the fence. Car pulls up. It's a cop car, and the guy just looks at me and goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I go, "Stop, or I'll jump." And the guy just freezes. And then I think it was Andre or whoever had my pilot chute. And I just looked him in the eye and went, "Have you got my pilot chute?" And they went, "Yep." Right, so I jumped. So I land, and you've jumped Northbridge. There's a big park down the bottom there, easy at night. So I land, and I'm like, "Fuck, okay." And then they're all up there going, "The cops are on their way down." The cops are screaming out at me, "The cops are on their way down." I'm like, fuck. So I've just thought, you know what I'll do? I'll just scurry into the bush, and I'll just find a little spot in the bush, and I'll sit there for 8 hours if I have to. Yep, they're not going to come looking for me in the bush at this time of night. So there I am, huddled myself down. I'm in the bush. And next thing, I had this canopy open. I look up, and the other 3 have got off. So I've come, they've landed. They go, Theo, where are you? I've come out of the bush over here. So we've taken off all 3. Now the cops are like getting, because where you can get a car to is down near the boat ramp from memory, and then you've got to walk a fair way up the park to get to the bottom of the bridge. And so now we're off chops, yeah, like proper off chops, drunk, everything. We've got unpacked canopies. It's now probably 3:30 in the morning, and we're in the bush, right? And we're just traipsing through the bush, and all the canopies are getting snagged and all this, and we're deep in the bush. The next thing, we're having this huddle, and we're all lost. And I'll never forget this. Nick, we're going, fuck, what are we going to do? Where are we? You know, we knew there was suburbia up there, and it sort of comes out somewhere else. And what the fuck are we going to do? And Nick goes, follow me. And he turns around, takes 2 steps, right, and disappears into this lantana. And it was like we're on a bit of a, it was a rock that would have been maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 feet high or something, but just packed full of lantana. So Nick's just disappeared in there. And the next time there, we're pulling Nick out, and you know what lantana's like? Yeah. Fucking the lines are all stuck and all this. And so we were bush bashing. I can't remember. It was a good couple of hours. Yeah. Finally, we've come up, and we're at the back of some houses, and we're like, fuck, okay, here we go. So we think, okay, let's sneak through the house and get to the road. But then we're thinking, hang on, when we get to the road, are the cops still going to be there looking for us and all this? And this is a true story. So we got into the backyard of this house. There's no lights on, so we sneak through the back of the house, go down the side, really narrow, get to the road, and Julie pulls up. No shit of a lie. She was right there. She said she'd been driving around. She goes, I knew you guys were going to come out here somewhere. She'd been driving around for hours, up and down, waiting to find us. Right? Absolute classic, eh? Yeah. That was very funny.
And what other girls were there? Because Alison Stacey, I hadn't heard her name.
Alison Stacey was, so Marilyn and Alison, I can't remember the other 2. They had a CRW team, 4 rotations, fucking good canopy roll workers. Was it? Yeah, was it? Or maybe, I don't remember. But Alison and Marilyn were really shit hot canopy rail workers back then. That was the 85, 86 Nationals, yeah. I think they won the silver medal from memory, or bronze or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I haven't heard from Alison for a long time. 30 years or something.
And then there was Linda. Did you jump with Linda?
No.
Linda?
Didn't jump with her.
Linda.
Yeah, didn't know her that well.
I remember Linda's last name. There was Linda and Panella.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Fen came along.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That was it. And then there's been a bunch since Sally Baker.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's done the Eiger. Sorry to say.
Yeah, right. Here we go. Carly hasn't done the Eiger. Robbie has. Always wanted to. There's still time.
Oh, there is still time. It's not going.
Sally
anywhere.
Baker, yeah, she was apparently going to be up at Sue Dabo's when I'm heading up north there.
Okay.
Sally Baker, I remember the name.
Sally Warren as well.
Sally Warren, that's
she's
it.
up
I
there.
mean, Sally Warren, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sal Baker's, yes.
Yeah,
Sal's fucking unreal, Sal Baker.
I'm going to
She's in
catch
Campbell.
first load.
What about my first free fall off Grovenor?
Oh. Channel 9, so we jumped that Channel 9 tower, the freestanding one.
Hey, that's being pulled down.
Has it?
It's about to be.
Right.
Chopper
Yeah.
told me.
Ultra high security, really scared.
Yeah.
That's all it says. I've got my base number on this jump. You know the Channel 9 tower, the freestanding ones, the TV towers? Yeah. We were in there for ages. They had I think it was Wayne Allwood, the guy who did that fucking awesome jump out of the chopper onto the centre point and then jumped off.
Yeah.
So he used to work for Channel 9. He told us that they were shutting the transmitter down for maintenance. He told Yate. And we lived only a kilometre from it in Lane Cove. And they used to have this, that was fenced off around the bottom. And there was a blue flashing light that had come on if you jumped. So we jumped in there and this fucking blue flashing light went on. So we jumped back out again and waited. The security guard came. So then we used to set it off a couple of nights in a row. We'd set the alarm off, see how long it took the security guard to get there. Mm-hmm. And it would take him 3 or 4 minutes, you know. So the way we got onto the tower was there was a cable ramp that ran up onto the corner of the tower, onto one leg, but the ladder was on the other leg. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can remember the structure of the tower, but it's like a circular lattice on each face. So you'd start walking across from one side to the other like this, but you get to the middle and it'd be all the way down here, you know, before you got up. And when we were crossing over, I was halfway across and Yates is going, Theo, don't move. I'm like, I couldn't hear him. He's going, don't move. I'm like, what? And I look down, there's the security guard, the blue light's gone. He's doing his rounds and I'm standing fully floodlit on this tower, fully fucking floodlit, just in the middle of it like this and thinking, fuck. And he just never looked up. He never looked up, mate. And me and Yates, I think Tony Slavic, I think it might have been, we went up there and, jumped off that and landed in... that's where the freeway is now, there's houses there. So that was all bush back then. And we landed literally on a suburban street, on a nature strip, next to the power lines. Yeah, Carly's first jump off Grovenor, fucking hell. So, first jump off Grovenor.
Well, how many jumps is this?
It was
this is your first free fall.
My fifth jump. First free fall, first building. First building strike.
Yeah.
3 cartons, 1 jump.
So we go up there, right?
Heavy, I was on the dole too.
We go up there and it was an awkward launch. It was a really awkward launch. There was a fence right on the edge of the building that was just longer than your legs. So you got your pilot chute in one hand and you end up...
No, my first free fall, we jumped off George Street side.
Yeah.
And there was no fence there then.
Oh, okay.
No, we stepped up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there used to be a fence there. But anyway, so he's jumped off. He's there. And I'm up the top and I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I'm nervous as my brother. He's going for a fucking... It's like when I got him his first skydive for his birthday, I was fucking shitting myself when he did his first jump. I go, don't fuck up. And anyway, so he launches off, he punches out, and he starts drifting to the left in free fall. I'm like, oh, fuck, whoa. So he drifts to the left, maybe
90 degrees.
No, almost 90. Not quite. It wasn't quite 90, but it was close. But then he opens and has a fucking left-off heading opening, which puts him into the building. And I'm like, and I'm standing up thinking, fuck, and I'm going, what am I going to tell Mum? That was the first thing that came to mind. Well, I'm going to explain this to Mum. And anyway, so he's onto the rises pretty quick. And basically the canopy opens. The canopy completes the 90 degrees to the thing and beyond. And he grabs the riser, he opens onto the riser very quickly, grabs it and just goes, dok, 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 5 or 6 fucking running footprints across the face of the building. And then by this stage the canopy's in a proper dive and not fully inflated, so he's really losing height quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking, so I've just gotten over that. And then on the George Street side, there's another building across the street that's only probably 150 foot high or something. Then I'm thinking, fuck, he's going to end up landing on the top of that. So now I'm fucking freaking again. And then he turns away. So we used to have, when we jumped off the George Street side, you'd open on George Street, you'd turn right on George Street, you'd turn right on Bridge Street, and then you turn left down Wynyard Lane, and that's where you landed, next to the park. Yeah. So he's almost had to land on the building across the street, and George Street wasn't as wide like it is now with all the trams and everything then. So he's almost landed on the building across the street. Oh, fucking hell. So then he turns, comes back around. I think by this stage he'd only just managed to get his brakes off on by now, and there's this great big, so you turn right on Grovenor Street, there's this great big fucking sign there that says North Sydney or something, Harbour Bridge, North Sydney. Big green sign. He's nearly hit that, or it certainly looked like it from where I was. Then he's turned left down Wynyard Lane, and Wynyard Lane's got all these fucking cars parked in it, and he's landed between 2 parked cars. Yeah. And I was just like,
a little bit of sensory overload going on.
Yeah, and then I had to fucking jump after that. And I was just, by that stage, I'm like, fuck.
So it was, Nick Fateris, you, and Andre or Mark Scott. There was 4 of us, I think. Yeah. And they made me go first, of course, because I'll take the longest, first free fall, first building. Well, and it's like 10 knots across.
They do need a drifter.
Yeah. Well, no, but I mean, to get off, because we didn't want to get busted, you'd always send the least experienced person off first, because you know that everyone else is going to be quick.
But I'm on the edge, and it's like, because there's that angle on both sides of Grovenor, and so we jump off the long part of the angle away from the 90-degree edge there, and it's like 10 knots, and the bridle's just whipping under my arms. I'm on the ledge, and then it was like, don't stop, don't go. I'm like, just so fucking scared, first building, first free fall, just about to go, and they stop me. Cops on George Street.
Yeah, that's like the police car.
It's like, all right, wait for them. Still standing there. Legs are just pinging, shaking like fuck. And then, I go off, and I just seem to push off harder with one foot. I did it a couple of times.
Yeah, fucking next jump?
No,
same thing.
Two jumps later it was. The same thing.
Same fucking
Pushed off harder with one foot, would turn 90 left, but on that first one, had a 90 left as well. And I was onto the riser, and Theo says I was pretty quick on the risers, but when I first went up for the risers, I was from the opening being all skew if and the off-heading opening and turning a freefall. I went up for the riser and just got smashed, slammed and just, lost grip of it. And I just saw that building accelerating because of no deep brake settings in those days. Building accelerating towards me. I thought, fuck, I'm dead. And then I thought, what's Theo's going to be thinking, what am I going to tell Mum?
What am I going to tell Mum?
That's what I was thinking, and I made a concerted effort to save myself. And I pulled the riser down, and, I was about to pull it down to my arse, to try and turn away quick. I thought, that's going to slam me into the building real hard. And so I just pulled it down to like my shoulder, and then it kicked off the louvers that follow the sun. And then, turned right down George Street, building, turned right down. There's like crane in front of me to the left down that one, and landed in between a parking meter.
It was tight, actually. Grosvenor.
It's a great building, though. There must have been 500 jumps done off that building.
Oh, I don't know. I did about.
That's what you reckon. We talked about it years ago, and there was a lot of people jumping it. Even after it was open, it was easy.
And Arnie's thing when he went in off there, fuck, that was horrible.
That shut it down.
If you look at Grosvenor in plan view, it's kind of like 2 offset semicircles, I guess is the best way to describe it. And, it was too windy. I decided not to jump. Poo and Cootsy were with us, and they, because I wasn't going, they didn't want to go. And Arnie went, and we were like, fuck, okay. And he went, and he had an off-heading opening, and the wind was kind of downwind, and so the wind, because it's a curve too, the wind used to really accelerate around the building, and he had a off-heading to the left, and he hit the building. And it sounded like, you imagine getting a leg of lamb, right, and smashing it into a concrete wall. That's what it sounded like. And he was like 200 feet away. He'd only done 1 second delay. He was
Arnie's a big leg
250 feet away. So he's hit the building, he's smashed it into the bit that comes out on the left, smashed into it. and then disappeared around the corner down the other
road.
side of the building, right? And then we'd lost sight of him. So he's nowhere near the ground. He's only probably halfway down the building. And we'd lost sight of him. So we're like, fuck. And to get from where we were on the roof to where the side of the building where he'd been sucked around the building by the wind, where he was, took us probably 4 or 5 minutes or something. It wasn't just walk across the roof. It was go down, go across, go up. You know, it was a complicated way to get there. And we looked down, can't find him anywhere. Can't see him anywhere. So we're like, fucking hell. So we came back down the building, dumped our rigs in the car, and then started looking for him. You know, up on the streets, on the typical landing areas, Wynyard Park, Wynyard Lane. Maybe made it to the actual park. We were looking in the trees. Couldn't find him. We're calling out. Couldn't find him. Went, you know, had a look down George Street because he basically ended up almost over Bridge Street. And we couldn't find him, so we thought, fuck, maybe he's got away, got in a taxi, gone back to my place. So we drove back to my place in Glebe, I was at the time. Get there, he's not there, fuck. So we come back into town. We'd been walking around the building site, looking in the building site, we just couldn't find him. And so we came back. Pooh went home from my place, and Cootsy and I went back into town thinking, fucking, where is he? And when we got back into town, there's fucking police there. And what had happened is he got sucked around the building, and there are all these louvers, not on this photo, but now there's all these sun louvers, and he'd basically gone bang, 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 all the way down these fucking louvers, right? And he'd managed to grab onto like the third or fourth one, last louver, hanging there with an arm.
How's that?
And yeah, and then
after 500 feet of fucking smashing into shit,
and then he couldn't hang on anymore, and he fell. And he was actually on top of his parachute when they found him. Yeah, he was actually on top of his parachute. So, and we found him, and the cops were all there by that stage. And when we spoke to Arnie afterwards, he remembers hearing people calling, and he goes, I remember this lady walking past, and we remember the lady who was walking on the footpath because we were like, fucking watch out, there's a waffle, you know. And
nocturnal waffle,
you know. And we couldn't find him anyway. And the cops were complete fuckwits. The cop goes, he's dead, to Cootsy, and Cootsy's let's fucking lose it, just starts shoveling himself past the cops. And then there was I think the ambulance was there then too, and they were moving him, and Arnie's just like, you know, screaming in pain. And yeah, that was.
But he'd fallen down in between the building and the road. That's why you couldn't find him. Hey,
he was on the construction site.
But he went through the fucking where that lattice work is, hit that lattice, and then ended up on the marble floor outside the security office. And you guys were all looking up on the street.
Yeah, well, yeah,
lower.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we'd walked. We reckon we'd walked within 30 feet of him.
Yeah, right.
And not seen him.
Yeah.
So anyway, they and I think the security guard had found him from all the noise, you know, and he was unconscious initially when he'd hit. And you can actually go and sit down and have a cup of coffee right where he went in. Yeah. So it's because in Grosvenor there's a little sort of food court area, and all the stainless steel and it's all covered in glass, and all the stainless steel framework was in for it by then, but the glass hadn't gone in, and that's where he went through. Yeah, and he was in hospital for a long time. He was in the Navy at the time, and all that sort of stuff, and
would have killed anyone else.
Yeah, and then Mick Kaleher, that's another one. Mick Kaleher, we did a jump. Me, Mick Kaleher, and Mark Scott and Andre, I think it was. We did a jump off Grovenor, off the crane, with the tower crane like it is there, yeah, up the outside of the building. And Mick used to you know how setting your brakes, you know, as people used to daisy chain their brakes to set them. Yeah, remember that? Skydivers used to do it. It was a bit of a thing back in the 80s, and so Mick had done that. Anyway, I went first. Mick goes off, has a brake comes off on opening, does a full 180, or the canopy spins, he hits the crane, and the crane's like going gong, like this, you know, the whole fucking tower's resonating. It spins, hits it again, then his canopy kind of opens, but it's open facing, like it inflates, it gets pressure, and it's open facing the building, and his canopy is just hugged around the tower, and he's just going, sliding down, and I'm just standing there going, fuck, he's fucked. And you know how they have these brackets that come off the building around the tower to hold the tower up?
Yeah.
The second last bracket that holds the crane up, his canopy's snagged on it. And so now he's just hanging there, unconscious, going, boom. Boom. Into the fucking crane. And I'm like, fuck me, what do I do? So, okay. So I get my gear off, chuck my rig in the car. Andre's a nurse, he's still up on the top of the building. Mark Scott's still up there. I start getting into the building and they jump off. So I go, righto. So they jump off, they land, they chuck their rig in the car. So we get back into the building, climb up, and we had to go up to near the top of the building, which is where the crossover into the crane was, and then climb down to him. And he was a long way down from the crossover. He was not that far off the ground, right? But he's there. So last we saw of him, he's just hanging there unconscious, especially me just blowing in the breeze against the crane. But by the time we got there, and it took us a good fucking 20 minutes to get back into the building, back over all through the construction site, back up, across, climb down the crane. And a lot of the building had been windowed up by then. So when we found him, he's regained consciousness. He's inside the tower. He's actually on the opposite side of the crane tower, seeing his reflection in this glass and trying to step into the building, like just confused about where he was and all this. And we're like, fucking, he got blood all over his head and everywhere. And we fucking, we got him down. And you know those cranes, it's really awkward to climb in those cranes. You've got a floor landing every tower section and you've got to come down there. So we got him down there, he's screaming in pain, and got him into his car, and then he got him into his ute, and Mick had this ute that always used to get stuck in second gear, and he wouldn't let anyone drive it, right? Wouldn't let anyone drive it. So there he is with a fractured pelvis, and fucking gash in his head and blood and shit everywhere, freaking out because we're going to drive his ute. Right? He's going, man, don't drive me ute, I'll drive. We're like, you fucking driving, mate. You can't. He's banged up pretty bad, yeah. And sure enough, we get into second gear and it sticks in second gear, right? So we drove him all the way to St Vincent's Hospital in second gear. And they're going, oh, what happened to him? We said, oh, he's really drunk and he was playing silly buggers. Fell down the fire escape on an ironing board. We made up some fucking story like that. And he was out of action for ages. That put the fear of God into him. He was very lucky. And then he did another, was it him or some other guy who did the jump off the MSB building? Was it Mick or did Mick check his gear? I can't remember.
MSB building?
The Maritime Services building opposite Grovenor on the Darling Harbour side. Some guys were static lining that, and one guy, they're having free bags with bridles on, and he clipped the bridle off, but the bridle was running under his leg strap.
This is
Junior Viewed.
Who?
Greg
Penglis. That's who it was.
Oh, that's who it was. That's how I know him.
Exactly.
And he swung in the only fucking window that wasn't put in the building. He ended up back up 2 floors down.
Bridle stretch. Pendulum back in through the window.
I think Mick checked his gear.
It clipped him and it just threw him straight around, and then all he's looking at is his bag in front of him, just falling in front of him, and he's just like, it's over. And then all of that happened.
Swung in,
slammed him in. That was his second jump.
Yeah, well, I think Mick...
Leg strap under the bridle. Bridle under the leg strap.
Yeah, he was... Mick was the loadmaster on that one.
Jesus.
Yeah, he tells the story really well.
Yeah. So we'd only heard about that one. But, yeah.
That's right.
So Mick Kaleher was good. And Tony Slavic too, you should have a chat to him. Mm-hmm. There's so many other...
Sparksy? Remember when did Sparksy get in?
Sparksy was jumping about
Victorian
the same time.
Crew.
Yeah, so there's Sparksy, Damien Hansen, who fucking jumped off the Rialto and landed and hit the back of the back of a boat that was being towed by a car or some fucking weird thing like that and ended up on the news. Yeah, they were jumping about the same time we were. Sparksy, we used to ring each other when they jumped. So it was Sparksy, Yate and me and that first, and then Sparksy started up in Victoria, and then there was Marilyn and Alison who were doing Riverside jumps up in Queensland. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good to hear the old stories.
Yeah.
How does it feel talking about them again?
Bet you've heard a few.
Oh,
Yeah, it's interesting.
I haven't. Yeah, I mean, it's
funny, isn't it?
I thought you guys would have argued a bit
takes you
more
back
about
in there.
this.
Really?
But no,
Oh, there was a
you,
little bit.
you agree. You agree mostly.
I mean, it was different back then, you know, like all the, you know, I mean, there's so many, every time you look at something, there's always a story. Oh, the Eastern Creek jumps with Nick and fucking Glenn, what's his name?
Yeah, didn't he smack into the... Like they all look pretty ugly. All those jumps on that film actually look quite ugly.
Oh, no. You know, there was me, Doug Knowles. So I think Nick and that had jumped up the day before, and then when the races were on, then there was me, Doug Knowles, and Nick
Doug Knowles
jumped it the next day, and they basically just let us jump all day. But then Glenn hit the.
You're right.
Glenn hit the Kodak stand.
That's right. Yeah.
He sort of smacked into the side of that, and they shut us down. Fuck it.
Yeah, that was his first jumps that he was doing, wasn't it? That crane.
I think he'd done. Hadn't he jumped Fox Glacier then in New Zealand? Maybe. I don't know if they were his first jumps, but we were free falling that too. That was pretty fucking low. So we were going off with the pilot chute held on the bottom.
Yeah.
And so he'd launch off. And then as soon as that pilot chute inflated and you felt it pick yourself up, you'd let it go.
Yeah.
And we were still opening about 100 feet. It was only 100 it was under 200 feet, I think. It worked well. And then we didn't release the brakes for landing. We just landed with the brakes set and just a little half flare with set brakes because I think Nick, from memory, you release your brakes and you get that. It accelerates to full speed, but you want to be flaring about then because we're opening so low. So,
Good stuff.
And as soon as we finish this, there'll be 100 other stories. I remember.
You know, there always is. But this is the start of it. You know, this is the initial context of the storyline. I've also got an ABA timeline app that I'm sending around to people as well, so they can you can just get on your phone, get your logbook, and anything that was based on the timeline, not every jump that you've ever done, but...
You've got a timeline there for Dukes, have you?
I've got Dukes' timeline, but I'm extended on this with this new little program that I've got, so that's going to be exciting when I'm able to launch that. So
I'll never do that, mate.
What's that?
I'll never do that.
I'll come over and we'll hang out and do it. But it's pretty simple. On your phone with your logbook sitting next to you and just punch in the details. So that's the technology we got today. And the technology we've also got is the podcast. So it's just a more natural, easy way of having just a yarn, getting a few stories, and then we'll start
storytelling is a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Sharing the knowledge and just,
That's right. Through all those stories, all those incidences, they're all how we learnt, what not to do or what to do better. And it continues on. I mean, the same mistakes are, being made as well.
Well, you'd hope not the same ones. I would have thought they'd be a bit different, wouldn't they?
Well, there's improvement that's happened in the sport, but still, there's the factors that you can't see, especially when jumping off buildings and the wind and the conditions and your body position and all of that. So it gives you a bit more incentive to just keep it all in check. But great, thanks guys for doing this and stepping up.
No worries.
We're getting the ABA story finally down.